All right, guys. So today our lesson is on converting rates. Okay. Now, actually, on homework last night when we just corrected, you actually did some conversions, you know, I don't know, what was it, like how many gallons were in quarts and stuff like that. And this is in some ways similar, but today what we're going to do is, and one of your standards for being a 7th grader is we're going to convert unit rates by using something called, what's up here is dimensional analysis. All right, so we're going to talk about that. So here we go. With notes, screen on the left, notes on the right. Our very first one is called a unit ratio. Everyone? Unit ratio. Okay. Your book says this is a unit rate where the denominator is 1 unit. Is it not on there? Okay. So listen carefully. I'm going to go through this. All right. I forgot to put stars on these. All right, because there will be some that's not on there. As a matter of fact, probably many of these won't be on there. So, guys, a unit ratio is 12 inches over 1 foot. Okay. Now, a unit rate, right? We talked about unit rates there where the bottom number is 1. Okay. We just talked about that yesterday. So, where the bottom number is 1. Now, kind of like, 65 miles per hour, right? 65 miles over 1 hour. Okay. However, this unit rate here is a little different. Okay. There's something special about this unit rate. Now, right, it is 12 inches per foot. But let me ask you guys, take a look at the whole top, okay, the numerator section, and the whole bottom, the denominator section. What do we notice about that information on there? John? They're equal to each other. Last time I checked, 65 miles and 1 hour are not the same thing, right? However, these are the same thing. This thing right here, right? This thing is 1 foot, but it's also 12 inches. Okay? So, this is the same, top and bottom. Okay? Now, I want to talk about that. When we have something, when you're talking about a fraction that is the same on the top and the bottom, for example, something like that. Something like that even. If we were to simplify that, or either one of those, what do they equal? Yeah, they equal 1. Right? We've learned that if the numerator and denominator are the same, it's 1 whole. Well, in this case, guys, I know these look different, but the numerator and the denominator are the same. This is really 1 whole. Now, I want to make sure that you know that. Not that we're going to write, we're not going to simplify that to 1. But what I want you to know is that anything where the top and the bottom are the same, it's 1. Okay, now, that reminds me here, okay, if we take a look at something like this, what happens if we take anything and multiply it by 1? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. How about this? What's that equal to? Smiley face, same thing. Okay, little. But what I'm saying is it doesn't matter. Now, what about this? And we'll get more into this in a bit, okay, but what would this equal? Well, it would be an answer that would be equivalent to 3/5. Okay? Now, I also want to remind you guys, if we take something like this, what does this give us? 3/5, but 6/10. And what that is here's what we accomplished. We multiply by 1, we get the same value, but something that looks different. Okay? Well, that is going to be the whole purpose of using a unit ratio. We're going to make something look different. That's our goal today. Basically, we're converting unit rates. Okay? Now, along with that, here's what else I want to talk about. We've talked about this before. Before I multiply that, can I reduce? What can I reduce? I can reduce these two by what? 2. So get a 1 and a 2. What can I reduce these two by? 3 and get a 1 and a 1. Okay? Now, listen. Both of these are called cross-reducing. Okay? They're called cross-reducing. Now, this here could be divided by 2, and they shrink in size, basically, right? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. These two here, though, are reduced by what? 3, and we get a 1 and a 1. Something that this is called, people refer to this, is instead of cross-reducing, cross-canceling. Because ultimately, what's happening is these are gone because they become 1s. And what's left is what's left over in the problem. These are gone. It would be called cross-canceling. Okay? So, for example, let me think of a different one. 3/5 times 1/3 again. Very similar, right? What can I cross-cancel? The 3, and we say, well, what's left? On top is 1, 5 on the bottom. Okay? We cross-reduce, but it's like I would consider it a special cross-reducing, cross-canceling. Okay? Cross-canceling is going to be a big part of today's lesson. It's going to look different, though. All right? So I just wanted to review a couple of skills with you guys, a couple of reminders before we get going on the rest of these. So here's what I want you to do. Okay? The next word is dimensional analysis. Everyone?
Dimensional analysis.
Okay. That is there. Good. All right. Your book says this is the process of including units of measurement when you compute. The process of including units of measurements when you compute. Okay, so in your little box, go ahead and write this. 2 feet over 1 second. And we're going to multiply this by 1. But it's not written as 1. It's written as, with our unit ratio, 12 inches over 1 foot. Now, for notes only, all right, we'll talk more in detail about this in a bit, but for notes only, let me show you something that you probably haven't seen before. Can we cross-reduce the numbers?
No.
12 and 1, 2 and 1? No. However, we can cross-cancel the units. Why? Because they're the same. Just like up here, 3 and 3 we cross-reduced, or cross-canceled. We can cross-cancel feet and feet with dimensional analysis. Okay? So for sake of your vocab, go ahead and put that in your notes. Okay. So, here we go. We're going to go ahead and extend this a little bit. All right, so let's say we have something like this. Gallons over seconds times seconds over minutes. Now, the use of dimensional analysis, or cross-canceling units in this case, do we have units that we can cross-cancel? Yes. Now, just like what is up here, remember we cross-canceled and then whatever is left on the top and bottom gave us our answer. Well, when it comes to this, we can cross-cancel the seconds, and what's left on the top is gallons, and what's left on the bottom, minutes. Let's take a look at another. Feet over hours times hours over minutes. What can we cross cancel, guys? Hours. And remember, the bottom line is we can cross cancel because what we're doing is we're multiplying, right? That's what we were doing up with our fractions. We're multiplying. So we cross cancel, and what do we get? Feet over minutes. Okay. This here is what we're going to talk about in just a bit. So we go from something like this to say, our question today will be something like, they travel 60 miles in 1 hour. So, sorry, 60 feet in 1 hour. Okay? How many feet in a minute is that? Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to walk you step by step here. All right, when we solve this. And I have another example, but we will talk about these in our examples. All right? Now, guys, any questions about this being equivalent to 1, or what happens when you multiply by 1, or anything about cross-canceling, because those are the underlying skills or the underlying ideas of today's lesson. So that is how we're going to make this work. So any questions? Okay. I don't think we need it. We went through that a little faster than I have in the past, but let's go ahead. I promised you guys, I'll give you guys 1 minute, okay, to get a nice quick stretch, because from here for the next part, it's going to be kind of lengthy. All right. So 1 minute, okay, to go ahead and stretch if you need to. Get it. Take a couple deep breaths. All right, I'm going to need your undivided attention right now, starting now. Here we go. Okay, so here's what I would like you guys to do really quickly. I want to show you guys something. Take a look at the very back of your book. Okay, here's what I want to talk about. Okay, this chart right here in the back of your book is a reference sheet for you. Okay, it is kind of like, think about it this way. You know how we solve big problems, and I want you to show some work, and I said, guys, you can start using calculators to not have to worry about the long multiplication, long division, right? Well, today, this chart is going to be something to help you out. All right, this chart is going to be all of our unit ratios. So like in our vocabulary, when we had the 12 inches over 1 foot, right? That was a unit ratio. These are all of the pieces of information that you need for your unit ratio. So for example, we have 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Okay? This here, that way, this is kind of like your calculator for this. You're still going to get to use a calculator, but when it comes to your unit ratios, believe me, in just a bit, you're going to see a lot of work that's involved in a lot of thinking, and your thoughts and your stress need to go somewhere else rather than on here. So don't stress about this. This information is here for you. All right? When we find our unit ratio in our problem, or what unit ratio we're going to need, look back here if you don't automatically know it. Okay? Reference this. All right? Look back and use it. Say that again. Okay, then just watch up here at this point. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay. Go ahead and do me a favor. Please flip to the back, and I'll even write it with you. Flip to the back of your homework, because you're going to need notes on this. Okay, and let's go ahead and write down this problem. So it says Alonzo fills buckets at a rate of 6 gallons per minute. What is the rate in gallons per hour with a question mark? And sorry, I just need to zoom back out, guys. Okay, here we go. Step 1. Look for the unit rate that is given to you in this problem. It will be written out in sentence form, like I've been wanting you guys to show your answers, especially last night. 6 gallons per minute. Let's go ahead and write that in fraction form. 6 gallons. I can abbreviate the word gallons, but I am going to put the units. 6 gallons per minute means over 1 minute. So we're going to go ahead and write down, find the unit rate that's given and write it down in fraction form. Nothing hard about that. There it is, 6 gallons per minute. He fills the bucket at a rate of 6 gallons per minute. Now, here comes step 2. Okay, let's read the question. What is the rate in gallons per hour? So here's what you need to ask yourself. Between what is given and what they're asking for, what is changing? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a question that some of us will get to our homework and we don't want to do that. But that is what's going to give you the correct work that you need to show. So we are given 6 gallons per minute. They're asking for in gallons per hour. What's changing? The what? The time, which is the measurement of time, which is minutes to hours. Now for this one only, right, I'll go ahead and write that down. Minutes are changing to hours. It's not always going to be minutes and hours. But look and find out what's changing. Now, the next part, and this is all kind of part of step 2, ask yourself what's changing. And then you're going to use this to write a unit ratio. So, put in your notes a little reminder. Back of the book. This is where you're going to want to use the back of the book if you need to. Now maybe in this one, maybe we don't need to. Minutes and hours. How many minutes are in an hour? 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply by 60 minutes and 1 hour. So, 1 hour and 60 minutes. There's our unit ratio. Now, the last part of step 2 is keep in mind, this is very important, keep in mind the whole point of using this is for dimensional analysis, meaning we need to cross cancel. Can I cross cancel?
No.
I cannot. Why? Because minutes are on the bottom. So that's why you see me use a pencil up here. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be shy. Erase it and flip it around if you need to. 60 minutes over 1 hour. All right, step 3 is cross cancel. Actually do the cross canceling. So if I take a look here, well, the numbers we can't cross cancel, right? But can we cross cancel units? Absolutely. What can we cross cancel? The minutes. Step 4 is we'll use the word compute, which just means, in this case, we're going to multiply. So, look at what's left after cross-canceling. Gallons is on top. Hours are on the bottom. The numbers on the bottom is 1 times 1, which is 1. And 6 times 60, which is 360. Step 5, we're going to go ahead and write it in sentence form. And that is 360 gallons per hour. Okay, at this point, a very popular question for people looking for a quick answer is, Mr. Wilkins, I'm just going to multiply it. I don't want to do all that. I'm going to multiply. Okay, listen. We're starting out easy. This is the easy problem for today's lesson. All right? So be patient. You have to use dimensional analysis when it gets harder, especially for the second part of today's lesson and tomorrow's lesson. Okay? So make sure you show your work. Okay? Use dimensional analysis, because when the problems get harder, you'll be equipped to be able to handle those problems. All right? So yes, all of this you definitely need to do, and hopefully you have all of this down, because like I was telling you, previous classes and even in previous school years, they don't do this properly. They don't want to go through this part and be very careful with that, and then it ruins their whole problem. They get stuck most of the time. So make sure that you do that. Now I'm going to hold off before I give you one. Okay, so step one, right? The unit rate is given. What did it tell us? It made a statement, right? 6 gallons per minute. You write that just right as a unit rate right there in fraction form. Okay. Any questions about step one? Now I'm going to skip ahead here. Step 3, cross-canceling units. We spent some time in our vocabulary, right, and talking about why that's even possible. Okay, what it looks like. Any questions about cross-canceling units? Okay, step 4, I'm hoping computing is pretty nice and easy, right? It's be careful with units. It's what's ever left on top is our units on top. What's ever left on the bottom are our units on the bottom. And then, of course, you compute, just multiply across. Okay, and then in step 5, writing it as a sentence. I want to spend, though, a few seconds and give you an opportunity. Step 2, taking a look at what the statement is compared to what they're asking. When I ask what's changing, does anybody not understand what I'm talking about? What's changing between the question and between what's given and the question? We're looking at units. You're asking what's changing in the units, the unit rate part of the units. We're okay with that part? Okay, guys, unit ratio, remember, the back of the book is your friend. You have a bunch of different ones that you'll have to use. So if you have to ask yourself what's changing, because I had people that said, oh yeah, minutes and hours are changing, and then they turn around and use like inches and feet in their unit ratio. I'm like, what? That's why we do this part, is it tells us which 2 units that we need to use in our unit ratio. Minutes and hours, how are they related? 60 minutes and 1 hour, there's your unit ratio. And like I said, you might just write it down to get it down. Don't be scared to erase it and flip-flop them like we did, in case you realize you can't cross-cancel it with it written that way. You can flip that fraction there in your unit ratio. Okay. All right, any questions?
So the only thing we have to show is what's in the boxes?
The only work you need to show? Yeah, all of these are all your notes. Anytime we have S1, S2, S3, S4, those are all your steps, and you don't have to you have to do the steps when you solve your problem, so you don't have to write the steps out every single time you solve a problem. So it's all the work that goes with those steps is what you have to show. So this and this. Okay, guys, other questions? Okay, here we go. Go ahead, go to your homework. Try out problem number 9. Problem number 9. Check in with you guys in about 2 minutes. Okay, anyone need more time? Okay. Checking into you guys in about 30 seconds to a minute. Those of you that are completely finished, okay, you can take a look at some of the others. If you get stuck, though, be careful. Just find another one to do, because there are some other skills involved with tonight's homework. Okay, anyone still working on that? Okay, listen carefully. I'm going to give you guys, this time I'm going to give you 1 minute to share, okay, instead of the normal 30 seconds. Of course, you're going to start off with your proper unit rate, which is your answer, okay, what they're asking for. Okay, however, I want you to look at your neighbor's work and make sure that they showed their dimensional analysis properly, including that middle section, which comes from part 2. Okay, so after you share that, share this with each other. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, turn to your neighbor and share. Go.
I got 89.6.
Okay, here we go. Just looking for an answer right now. See what we have out there. All right. So your unit rate answer. All right, seat 23. £5.6 over 89.6 ounces. Okay, agree, disagree. Okay, all right. Let me go ahead and let's get some other answers out there. Okay, seat 12. Okay. Okay, agree, disagree. Okay. Well, let's take a look. All right. Problem number 9. So, these aren't quite word problems. You'll have 15 and 16 will be word problems, and even tomorrow night's will be more word problems. But this is, of course, pretty straightforward. We have this unit rate right here. So we have 5.6 pounds per gallon. I'm going to go ahead and write it over 1 gallon. They want to know what is the ounces per gallon. Meaning, I ask myself, right, what's changing? pounds and ounces. So when you looked at the back of the book, what do we have, guys? How many?
16 ounces equal
16 ounces equal 1 pound. So 16 ounces, I'm going to multiply 16 ounces and 1 pound. 16 ounces and 1 pound. If I take a look, I'm golden because I've got them where I can cross cancel. So I'm good. I don't have to erase and flip-flop it. Okay? So now we're ready to go. So I go ahead and do my cross canceling, which is what I just talked about. There's our pounds. On the top, what's left are ounces when it comes to the units, gallons when it comes to the units. On the bottom, 1 times 1 is 1. I'm computing. 5.6 times 16 is definitely a calculator. So 16 times 5.6 or 5 6/10, and we get 89.6. Okay, if you were to write it as a sentence, and fortunately for you guys, right, it's a little less writing, but on this one, it's not asking for you to write the whole sentence out. Okay, on the word problems, you will need to. But on this one, what fits on the line is 89.6, because it's 89 6/10 ounces per gallon. All right, questions? Okay, let's take a look at another kind of problem. Here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at problem number 1. Problem number 1. All right, on problem number 1, you're going to see me use, I'll zoom in a little bit, you're going to see me use the same steps. There is one little twist, though, I want to show you guys. So here we go. The very first thing is I'm taking my first unit rate, which is here, that is given, and I'm going to write it down in fraction form, 660 feet over 1 minute. Second, I need to find out what's changing here. Well, feet are the same, but it's minutes and seconds. Minutes and seconds. So I know that 60 seconds are in 1 minute. Again, you can look at the back of the book if you don't want to give that any thought, right? But 60 seconds in 1 minute. So I was about to put 60 seconds on top, 1 minute on the bottom, but then I couldn't cancel out. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 1 minute on top, my 60 seconds on the bottom. Now I cross cancel my minutes. There they are. So now I compute my answer. I take a look. My units left on top are feet. My units left on the bottom are seconds. And in this case, it's 660 feet, because 660 times 1. And this is 1 times 60, which is 60. There's an issue, though, right? This is where we'll call it step star. This is an additional step on a problem like this. They want it, that little dash line right there, that slash is per. How many feet per second? Meaning 1 second. We actually have to turn around and now keep feet on top and seconds on the bottom. All we're doing is yesterday's lesson. We're reducing to get a unit rate because our answer is not in unit rate form. Remember, the bottom needs to be a 1. So what are we dividing by?
60.
60. So 660 divided by 60 equals 11. And so this is 11 feet per second. So that's the only difference between the previous one and this one, is that at the end it didn't come out to a nice unit rate for our answer, so we had to make it into a unit rate at the very end. Okay? By dimensional analysis, by using our unit ratio. All right. Any questions before I have you try one like that? Okay, here's the one I want you guys to try. Problem 12. Problem 12. Okay, check in with you guys in 2 minutes. many of you need more time? Okay. Okay, how many of you are still working on that problem? Okay, give you guys about 30 more seconds and then we're gonna share. Okay. All right, so go ahead and turn to your neighbor. Since we've already shared our unit ratio, okay, you can share if you guys, of course, if it doesn't match up, your answers don't match up, you should still share it. But for right now, go ahead and share your answers. I'll give you 30 seconds this time around. Go.
I got 1.24. So I changed hours to seconds, so minutes. So 3,600 seconds. And I just multiplied it.
I ended up switching to seconds.
Okay. Now, guys, I'm sitting here listening to conversations, and some of our conversations, I can tell that people are still trying to get by without even touching their notes. Okay? And guys, we've talked about this is an advanced class. Okay? A lot of things that have come easy for many of us in the past, and I mean, that's one of the reasons why you're in here. Okay? However, you are doing 7th and 8th grade mathematics. You need to make sure you show your work, you use your notes. Hopefully, by the time you get to the test, you're an expert on this, and you won't have to use notes anymore, right? You'll still do all the steps, but you don't have to use your actual notes. But right now, until you know how to do it, use your notes. Don't try to wing it. Don't try to just ignore them. Okay, I've seen students do that a lot, even in my other classes. Okay, it's like they have this on their paper and they never want to look at it. Okay, so if I'm going to use these notes, okay, here's what I'm doing. I have this, step 1. Write down the unit rate that's given. So the unit rate that's given is this. I'm going to write that down, and it shows in fraction form here. So 4,500 feet over, and remember that is an hour. So it is an hour. I don't know why they didn't put HR, but it is an hour. 1 hour. Step 2, what is changing? They mean what's changing between the question and the answer. Well, the feet are both there, but the hours are changing to seconds, right? And this is minutes and hours, but this one is hours and seconds. So if I look at my unit ratio in the back of the book, okay, there are 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. So I go ahead and like this, I'm going to multiply 3,600 seconds and 1 hour. Okay, well, I'm going to put my 1 hour on the top because that's where the hours are to cross cancel. My 3,600 seconds on the bottom. And now, right, I turn around and I say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and step 3, I'm going to cross cancel. So there goes my hours. And then I'm going to compute. So I'm basically getting the answer here. Well, the units, by the way, feet's left on top, seconds are on the bottom after we've cross canceled those. Here, 4,500 times 1 is 4,500. On the bottom, 1 times 3,600 is 3,600. Now, of course, comes what we did on problem number 1 up here at the top, is this one is not in a unit rate form. So we need to know how many feet in 1 second per second. So that's why we're dividing by 3,600 on bottom and on top. So 4,500 divided by 3,600 equals 1.25. 1 2,500 feet, or 1 1/4 feet per second. Okay, questions on that one? Okay, we do have a little more to do, but that is actually the end of part 1 on converting unit rates. All right.